Hey, Riley2 here, back with another video. Okay, do another episode of this series that I haven't really came up with a name yet. Anyway, a name for yet. Anyway, you know, this series was originally intended for younger 2A people or younger people who are looking to get into the 2A or firearms in general or whatnot. You know, that is what this is intended for, but really this information applies to any person who has not previously been around firearms or been into the Second Amendment, and is now considering doing that. Or maybe you aren't considering it, maybe you just stumbled across this video, in which case, hopefully I gave you something to think about, right? Okay, in this series, I talk about one talking point per episode. Try to keep these episodes short, okay? In the last episode, we talked about, are guns dangerous, okay? And the end point was, no, they aren't. People sometimes use guns dangerously. But, you know, if a gun is not in the hand of an individual, it's just an item, right? Point is, a person has to manipulate a firearm for that firearm to be dangerous. That was the point of the last episode. In this episode, what we're going to be talking about is people who don't trust themselves with firearms, okay? It's a big topic, right? There are a lot of people out there who really don't trust themselves. They don't think they could handle a firearm safely. They're really just insecure about, you know, firearm safety and whatnot. And they just don't think it's for them, okay? So that's what we're addressing today on this episode. Okay, so there are an endless number of reasons in why a person might not trust themselves with a firearm, okay? I'm not going to really go into any examples because everybody's situation is different, okay? But if you're watching this video, you don't trust yourself with a firearm, whatever the reasoning may be, okay? Everybody's got their own reasons, right? Nobody's in the exact same situation. Did that again. Anyway, yeah, nobody's in the exact same situation, right? So I'm not gonna go into the examples, but if you're watching this, you don't trust yourself with a firearm, you know, this is for you. There's really not too much to say on this, okay? But it's really going to come down to two things, right? One, you address this issue, right? You overcome it and you enjoy your Second Amendment rights, okay? Which is the best option, right? So what I would first say in trying to obtain that is give it a fair try, right? Okay. Have you been out to the range with your homeless uncle Steve before and had a bad experience on the firearm or with a firearm? Is that your only experience with firearms? Or do you have no experience with firearms and maybe you pick these fears up from media and whatnot? Any of that could be the case. You know, that's not a fair try, right? You need to give the firearms a fair try. I would say get on the range with a firearms instructor or somebody who is an expert around firearms, okay? There are lots of great firearms instructors in this community doing great work, okay? There are a lot of bad firearms instructors, so definitely maybe check those reviews, right? But there's a lot of good firearms instructors. A good firearms instructor can do great things, all right? Firearms instructors are like superheroes, in my opinion, okay? They can take a person who's never been in the same room as a real firearm before. They can get this person handling a firearm safely, shooting a firearm safely, and even shooting a firearm pretty well, right? give it a fair try by getting on the range with a good firearms instructor or somebody who's an expert. And, that's giving it a fair try, right? So I would, that's my really the best piece of advice I could give is give it a fair try. More often than not, a person will have their mind changed through a good experience such as that, okay? So that's the best piece of advice I can give. That's the only good piece of advice I can give. And that will work in most cases, I think. Now, another situation is there are a small number of people who, for whatever reason that may be, maybe firearms just aren't for them, okay? Firearms aren't for everybody, or so I've been told. So, maybe you fall into that boat, okay? If you come to the conclusion that firearms are simply not for you, you don't trust yourself with them, or whatever it may be, that's fine. You don't have to have a firearm, right? You don't have to use firearms, okay? But respect and keep in mind the fact that some people do want to have and use firearms, okay? So basically what I'm saying is don't project your own lack of confidence around firearms onto other people, which there's a lot of anti-gunners out there who aren't even coming from a political standpoint, but it's just, oh, I don't trust myself with firearms, so surely nobody else can be trusted either. That is not the mindset to have. It's not a very good point, okay? Simply. So if they're not for you, that's fine. Don't tell other people what to do, basically, is the point. If you come to the conclusion that firearms are not for you, like I said, give firearms a fair try in a good environment. And most people will probably have their minds changed if they fall into this boat in where they don't trust themselves with a firearm, okay? So that's really it. I just wanted to talk about a few talking points around this particular point. Obviously, I try to keep these short. I could have went on for an hour as usual. So let me know if you in the comments if you agree with me, disagree with me, if there's any other points that you think should have been in here that weren't. I could certainly make a follow-up video if anybody is interested in that. For now, I'm going to get out of here. Goodbye.